It is that time again to talk about The Promised Neverland because episode 7 came out today. And again, we got tons of more information about the lore and the world of Emma, Ray, and Norman. And it's just awesome to see what we revealed in the ending, which is amazing. Okay, so let's dive right into this. So the episode starts off again with Emma, Ray, Norman, Dawn, and Gilda. They're all were caught by Sister Crone. And Sister Crone wants to go ahead and become allies. And to show her trust, we get this reveal, which again, most people probably thought of this, but it's just cool to see, is that she was a child at a farm at one point. And so she also reveals like a huge thing that we weren't expecting. She also shows that she can't leave the farm, that she has this transmitter in her, this chip in her chest, that if she were to take a step out of the house, that she would be killed. Or if her heart stopped for whatever reason, it also acts like a defibrillator and like jumpstarts her heart. So she said, this is the best thing for me. Like, I want to be a mom and you guys want to escape, so let's work and get Isabella out of being mama. So they do agree on that. And Emma kind of stopped him for a little bit, saying, well, how can we trust you? How can you guarantee that that we can escape? And she says, well, I mean, you can have Ray tell Mama about this and I'll be taken out, or I can go to Mama, tell him that Ray's a double agent, and then you guys will get knocked out. We don't want to do that. That is going to compromise everything. So she says, that's why I won't tell anyone. So they're like, okay, so they agree. As this is happening, we'll get to Ray's part and what he's involved in a little bit later, just because I want to just kind of follow the storylines. So finally, you see Emma and Norman come to Sister Crone's room at night. She has this creepy look on her face, and just she gives me the creeps. And she invites me, and she's like, okay, ask me whatever. And the first thing I ask is they want to see the transmitting device. And so she gives it to them, and they start looking at it, and it looks very simplistic. And she confirms what they always thought, is that it tells them where everyone is, but it doesn't say who it is. And then they ask her where the transmitter is, or she tells them where the transmitter is. She says it's behind the left ear, and like you see their faces, like, oh, okay. So that again, they just confirmed what they wanted to know. And as the night goes on, they keep asking a lot more questions, and just one side note is like her baby looks freaky deaky. I don't like it. It reminds me of kind of like a Chucky doll, but just even more creepy. And just I don't know if I think it's her way to cope, or her to talk to make her not go completely insane. But then they ask a lot of questions, so we find out that she doesn't know, or she's never been outside of the farm and the labs and whatever the facilities. She does mention though that there are other humans that are on equal footing or equal ground of the demons. And so she's like, if you want to leave, like, you want to go contact them. Then she continues to answer the questions, like how old she is. She says that she's from a different Gracefield farm, which is, I think she's not from Plant 3, or she is. Which they're trying to get a little bit more information on that. But again, a lot of stuff they ask her, she doesn't have information on. Like I said, she's never been in the outside world. She doesn't know anything about like the demons, like running, or when they started running things. She has no information on that. But she does tell them stuff like the security, there's like almost none, that they could go outside, and there wouldn't be much people patrolling it. So I mean, again, they're getting a lot of good information on here. And as they finish with their questions, they're about to leave, and she kind of gives this maniacal laugh, and she starts looking at both of them and starts stating, Why you say a lot more with your body than you do with your words. And she's just talking about like how long have you known where the tracking devices were and how to destroy them. Because earlier, she was telling him like you can't destroy them, like you either have to cut them out, or cut off the ear, and stating that there's enough anesthesia for 5 children, to do that, and that she would even help him like get the stuff and know how to use it. But anyway, she says something. She's like eyes, sweat, like pupils, blood pressure, heart rate, like all these things like are telltale signs of information. Like, gives me information, meaning that I know that you knew about this stuff. And then she asks like, do you know about him? And that's like, what the heck? Who's him? And he's like, we'll talk about that another time. Just come meet me another night. And it ends right there. And oh my gosh, like they got played. Like, they were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe that they had screwed up so badly. And it's kind of interesting that they did that, because if you remember in the second episode, like when Emma's hugging Mama, she even tells herself like, don't act any way different. Like, lower your heart rate, don't make you sweat, whatever, all of that stuff. Because later on, like when Mama's talking about, she's like, well, her heart rate felt the same, her pulse was different, nothing elevated, nothing was rushing or showed any signs of her in distress. So I think like they went in there thinking that they knew everything, but I think they overthought a few things, and that's why they didn't catch like their mistake, which was trying to find the little bump on the ear to make it seem that this is the first time they heard this information from Sister Crone. But okay, so anyway, so that ends. The other part that was happening during this time is that Mama gets a package, and you see this little box with a note on there. And so there's a few things going on here, which I'm not entirely sure. So the box, I believe, has the camera that we see Ray have in like a few scenes after they visit with Sister Crone. But there's also a letter in there, which is going to be very important in just a minute. But you see Ray kind of take pictures of it and is very in awe of this photograph of this camera, because he's never seen photographs, he's never taken them, so he didn't know how it works. So he was actually amazed that he was able to actually make the picture like while he was sitting there with Mama. And at the end, after he leaves, Mama looks at the camera, she's like, now it's time. And you're like, what the heck's going on? Like, what does that mean? Does she know how to take care of the kids? Is she gonna take care of Sister Cronin? Like, could mean many things, could mean all of those things. So anyway, so the next day, Ray talks to Norman and Emma, and basically she's asked like, I don't know what's gonna happen. First of all, this is a huge risk now, because she knows, or she believes she knows, that we know how to destroy the tracking devices, and now Ray says he has the final piece to destroy the tracking devices. So it's like, well, what's gonna happen first? Are we gonna be able to escape first? Or are they gonna find out first and have us sent out? And Ray says, we can do this at any time. And he explained to them that they basically have 2.5 months, or I think it's a month and a half, I can't remember, but they have until January before the next shipment goes out. So they still have time to prepare, but they could leave at any time if everything is ready. And one thing that you see is you see him take a picture of Norman and Ray. I combine them together. And the picture is just like, because he took it like at a surprise, and they just look surprised, and it's a cool little picture that I like, that I hope that they keep, and that you get to see a little bit off, near the end of this season, and possibly the seasons to come if it does really good. So anyway, to finish off the episode, we have Sister Crone, who is thinking like, why did these kids ask me these questions? Like, do they already know something? Like, she's like, I need to find more information and confirm what's going on. And so she ends up rummaging through Ray's stuff, and she finds this letter, or this little piece of parchment, and she is completely surprised by it. And she basically says, "This is it. This is what I need to get rid of Isabel, and to get those kids shipped off." And so it doesn't show what that information says, but I believe because it cuts to Ray for a little bit, and it believed that he planted that to give her a false lead. But she questions it because she's like, how does Ray know about this? Like, Mama shouldn't know about this anyway, so how does Ray know it? Just as she's thinking about that, Mama comes in, and here's the one thing I really like about the show is that there's a huge, the huge things coming up because they've put like a little bit more detail in the eyes where they make the eyes, especially hers, since they're purple, pop out a lot more. It's no longer like dark purple. It's like a brighter type of purple, meaning like something scheming. Like they did this with Light in Death Note, and they've done another series before where like when there's a focus on the eyes, or there's a change in the color, or that they're brightened or whatever, that something's going on down. And I mean, Sister Crone is like freaking out because she believes it's a knife that's in her hand, and she thinks she's gonna get stabbed. But then Mama turns it around and hands it handle first with the letter that we saw in the box, saying "Open it." It's from headquarters. Kind of backtrack. Sister Crone was gonna tell Grandma, I think that is her name, Grandma, about the information. But anyway, so just wanted to put that in there. Then you go back. She opens up the letter. She's surprised. She's like, and Mama's like, "I'm sorry." He's like, "Goodbye." And her eyes, oh my god, she looks so happy. She's like, everything's falling into place. And that's where it ends. So it looks like Sister Crone's fate is not a good one. We have to wait till next week to see what happens to her, but it does not look good. Great episode again. It was a little bit slower. But we got a lot more information, but it wasn't as jam-packed as the episode before, so I gave it probably like an 8, solid 8 out of 10. Can't wait to see what happens to Sister Crone and how everything unfolds and whether or not they escape. So thank you so much for listening. This is David the Smash Fan, and I'm out.